Hey folks, it's the Red, and welcome to another Mario Day special. Oh, missed the mark again. I really need to get better at planning these things out. You know, a lot of people consider Mario games to be a bit on the easy side, but of course, like any platformer, every game has that level. You know the one. It's the level that you're going to spend dozens of lives trying to get through. Today I'm going to be showcasing what I believe to be the most difficult stages from every Mario game in the series. Side collectibles like star coins aren't going to be taken into consideration in the rankings, mainly just how hard is it to get from point A to point B. When we get to the 3D games, I'm going to instead focus on which star or moon or shine or what have you is the most difficult to collect. So with all that out of the way, let's go! Super Mario Bros. Was something of a tough choice, but I knew it had to be one of the levels in World 8. Ultimately, I settled on 8-2 as I feel like this level has the most that could go wrong in it. The Lakitu and paratroopers make it treacherous to get up these stairs at the beginning, the numerous bill blasters are quite troublesome, and this big jump here isn't exactly the most comfortable to make either. There's a single power-up block in this level, but even that is in a pretty dangerous place. But if you just keep your wits about you, you should be alright. There is no shortage of levels that I could nominate for Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, but if I'm picking one, I think I'm going to have to give this one to World 7-3. In this level, you have to propel yourself into the air using these green trampolines, and then you have to try and line yourself up from off-screen onto the next trampoline so that you can continue going forward. Yeah, there's a lot of guesswork going on here, so naturally this is going to lead to a lot of pitfall deaths. On top of that, there's also wind physics that are throwing off the trajectory of your landing, so who knows where you're going to wind up when you finally come back on screen. The last portion of this stage, right before the flagpole, also has some pretty tough platforming to it. This level is also recycled in World C-3, but the only difference in that version is that there's a Lakitu in the middle of the screen. I don't really feel like it makes things that much more difficult, but I guess it is technically the harder version, so I guess I'll have to nominate that one. Super Mario Bros. 2 was a fairly easy pick. I'm going to give this one to World 5-1, primarily for one key reason. Jumping from fish to get across this waterfall in what has to be one of the most precision platforming demanding areas of the whole game. Unless you're using Luigi or the Princess, you could expect to have a pretty tough time getting through here. I had a few nominees for Super Mario Bros. 3, but honestly, I would be pretty remiss to not give this one to 8-Airship. For the longest time when I was a kid, I felt like this level was unclearable without a P-Wing. The screen scrolls at double the speed of a normal airship, and if a Rocky Wrench throws a wrench to the right, it could hang onto the screen for several seconds. You don't really have time to stop and plan out your jumps, you need to just move. And that, of course, can lead to a lot of problems. Most of the levels in Super Mario Land aren't that difficult, I find, but I do feel like the difficulty is pretty well scaled. For that reason, I'm going to give this one to 4-2, Second Quest version. The additional enemies that they lay out throughout this level in this version makes it very cumbersome to try and get around. And things get really hectic once you start getting into the castle portion of the stage. Also, there's a surprise bullet bill that shoots at you across these one-block-wide gaps. That's just mean! Most of the difficult levels in Super Mario World are allocated to the Special World found within the Star Road. And to me, the one that stands out the most is Tubular Man! The main gimmick here is having to navigate the length of the stage under the influence of a P-balloon, which means if you take a hit at any point in the stage, or if you're too slow, you're as good as dead. This might be one of the few examples where coming in small actually works to your advantage, since you're going to die in one hit anyway. They like to stick the enemies in very inconvenient places in this level, so expect to lose more than a few lives here. Much like in the first Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2 doesn't really have any difficult levels in it, I find, but I think I'm going to have to give this one to the final level, Wario's Castle. It's the longest stage in the game, and there are no checkpoints, so you have to do the whole thing in one clean run. And there are some obstacles here and there that can be tough to get around. But more than anything else, I feel like this stage is a battle of attrition, so just keep your wits about you, and you should be able to power through this one. For me, the most difficult star to collect in Super Mario 64 comes pretty early in the game, the big penguin race in Cool Cool Mountain. There are no barriers on this track, so it's very easy to wind up falling off, which is a dangerous thing to do when you're trying to race against someone. And this penguin can be a right pain in the butt to try and get around if he gets ahead of you. I dread going up against this guy because I know it's going to be an absolute life drainer. I guess you could say he gives me the slip. Similar to Super Mario 64, the most difficult level in Super Mario Sunshine comes pretty early in the game, the appropriately named Pachinko Pain. Here you have to launch yourself into a pachinko machine and guide yourself using the hover nozzle towards these 5 slots in order to collect the 8 red coins. The problem is, the physics inside the machine feel very unnatural and finicky, and one mistake is going to have you falling to your death. You see, kids, this is why gambling is bad. I had a couple of nominees for New Super Mario Bros., but ultimately I settled on World 8-Tower 2. You have to follow this snake block all the way up to the top of the stage, and its movements can be a bit hard to predict, and there's very little in the way of safe ground to stand on, other than on the snake block. And with the plethora of fire bars and surprise spike balls flying at you, good luck hanging on to a power-up through this level. The most difficult star to collect in Super Mario Galaxy is found in the Toy Time Galaxy. I'm giving it to Luigi's purple coins. You only have to get 100 of the 150 coins in this challenge, but that doesn't really make things much easier. Every space on this planet either rotates, disappears, or kills you outright. So navigating this place can be kind of a pain. There's also clusters of coins in some pretty hard-to-reach places, and that seems kind of mean. And if you do get to 100 coins, you need to make sure you leave enough platforms so that you can get back to where the star appears. Oh, and did I mention this is all under a 3-minute time limit? Yeah, I guess it's true what they say. It ain't easy being green. The hardest level in New Super Mario Bros. Wii can be found within the secret 9th world of the game, specifically World 9-7. The entire level is lined with frozen blocks, usually coins, and they throw every type of fire-breathing enemy at you in order to try and make you fall. Navigating this place can be kind of treacherous, so you're going to want to get through this quickly, and avoid shooting any fireballs yourself. Super Mario Galaxy 2 was the first game to start the trend of having one final ultimate challenge at the very end of the game after you've done everything else there is to do. This is what you'll find in the Grandmaster Galaxy, a level called The Perfect Run. You must play through the entirety of the most difficult level in the game without taking a single hit and without any checkpoints. So essentially, they took the hardest level in the game and made it even harder. This level is not short either. You might be at this for a while. I know I was. Super Mario 3D Land continues this tradition by having an ultimate challenge level at the very end after you've cleared every level with Mario and Luigi and touched the top of the flagpole of every level. Unlike the Perfect Run though, this level is a little more lenient with how much damage you can take. You can even bring a Tanuki leaf to this level, and that makes the second half of this stage a good bit easier. Even so, this level is still going to give you a run for your money, so you better be prepared for the worst. The most difficult stage in New Super Mario Bros. 2 actually comes from Coin Rush mode. I'm sure you might be aware of the Impossible Pack, 3 stages that make up the most difficult stages in the entire game. But it seems a little unfair to name the entire pack as the hardest stage because it's actually 3 stages in one, so I think it would be better to name one stage from this pack as the most difficult. And I'm going to be giving it to the first course of this pack, simply because I feel like there's more that could go wrong in this stage than in the other 2. Worse still is that you can't bring any power-ups into these levels, so your only power-ups are going to come from the checkpoints, and that's only if you're small. And trust me, there are plenty of parts of this stage where I wish I had a power-up. This place is pure pain. We'll find our hardest level in New Super Mario Bros. U on Superstar Road. Pendulum Castle is a level that seems like it's simple in concept, but is difficult to execute. Waiting for the right opportunity to get underneath one of these pendulums never feels particularly comfortable. And these dry spinies have a tendency to appear in some of the most inconvenient of places. And good luck getting past some of these other points without taking a hit. Clearly, this is a castle that has a point to make. Champions Road from Super Mario 3D World. Another final challenge level featuring some of the most notorious platforming the game can throw at you. But like in 3D Land, you can make life easier on yourself by coming in with a Tanuki leaf, which definitely helps out for at least a couple of the screens here. But as far as hardest Mario levels in the entire series goes, this one's definitely in the top 5. It's all about execution, and once you figure out how to do it, it's just a matter of getting it right. And who knows how long that could take. The darker side of the moon is the last place that you unlock in Super Mario Odyssey, and it serves as your ultimate challenge of this game. It's kind of a lengthy stage, but you can also take a lot of hits, especially if you can get a hold of a life-up heart somewhere in the level. But yeah, as expected, this level is going to put all of your skills to the test, with many of the different abilities that you can acquire throughout the game. I do like this little touch at the beginning, though, where everyone's cheering you on right before you begin the final test. Still, as far as final levels go, I didn't find this one to be as bad. I mean, it's still bad, relatively speaking, but, maybe less so than, say, Super Mario Galaxy 2. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my selections for the most difficult stages in each Mario game in the series. Wow, who would have thought that making a video about the hardest levels in Mario would take a long time to record? So yeah, you've heard my picks, but what do you think of them? Was there another level that you think was a bit harder than one of the ones that I picked out? Sound off in the comments. And until next time, hopefully on time, this is the Red, wishing you a happy Mario Day.